Welcome to
Oh,
Edgework
sorry.
here on the Hammer Betting Network. If you're a hockey fan, this is the show for you. We'll be recapping last night's action and looking ahead to our favorite bets on today's card. Andy dressed for Halloween a little bit earlier. I think you're going as a sexual predator or deviant or something like that, Andy, with those sunglasses.
What, that's not going to get you banned? Is that going to get you banned from YouTube? That's like the first 30 seconds, right?
We've conveniently placed a 30-second bumper with the music at the beginning to avoid these situations, yes. But myself, Rob Pizzola, joined by Andy Macneil at Digital Gambler. You can head over to vsin.com, check out all of his stuff over there. Great reads every single morning where he previews the entire hockey card and his bets that he's making in the morning. He actually updates those over the course of the day as well. So be sure to check that out. And So Money Sports at So Money, going as the Batman today with the bats in the background on the wall. That's changed since yesterday.
Yeah, the kids they don't like me having my bare walls in the back here, so they needed something up.
That's nice. They got to give the kids something to do, right, around Halloween.
Yeah, while Daddy's watching the games, you can make these crafts here.
Yes. For those who don't know, we do have a YouTube channel. It's Edgework on YouTube. Please hit that subscribe button. You'll get notified when we go live every single day, Monday to Friday. If you do enjoy the content, give it a thumbs up as well. For those who are on Twitter, no problem. You can watch on Twitter. Just know that we do not see your comments in real time. So if you do have questions or want to get in on the conversation, we'll only see your comments from the YouTube and Twitch streams. All right, guys, let's get into it. A recap of last night. Andy, I know you're a Bruins fan. First of all, where did the Brad Marchand news come out of? Because that was,
oh my God,
completely unexpected.
Yeah, and so in these situations, on a big slate, 8, 9, 10 games, if there are games that I can cross off the board as I don't have to pay attention to this for one reason or another, I like to do that because it just allows me to narrow my focus and focus on the things that I think are important. So yesterday, I had a small edge on the Bruins, early in the morning. I think they were around minus 210-ish or something like that at that time. And I thought the line should be a little higher, but it wasn't enough to really justify laying a big bet on a big favorite, right? So I crossed that off the board because Jim Montgomery, the Bruins head coach, had said during the team's media availability on Wednesday that Brad Marchand, while very close to returning, was not going to be back in the lineup on Thursday versus Detroit or on Friday today versus the Columbus Blue Jackets. And then he totally reversed that decision on Thursday. Marchand did play, and of course he made a huge difference. He scored 2 goals, added an assist, and was a big factor in the Bruins win over the Red Wings. And the market moved significantly in Boston's direction. Obviously, Marchand is a big-time player. So that was pretty frustrating. I didn't bet on the Red Wings, but if I had a bet on the Red Wings, I would have been pretty tilted. I think it's a great example and probably the most egregious example of just what NHL coaches and really coaches in any league can't be doing these days in the betting, with the betting world being such a prominent sport part of the sports world. I think that the NHL is going to have to, kind of put some kind of clamp on the coaches. Like, hey, if you don't know, if you say a player is not going to play, then that kind of rules them out for that game. I think at that point, right? I don't know. That's how I feel about it.
I will say, and So Money, I'll let you talk to this as well. I do feel like this kind of stuff, though, actually works in our favor as bettors.
Yeah, it does.
Right?
Yeah. So for the most part, there's on the one hand, from for the NHL, they can't expect to get into bed with gambling companies while doing this kind of stuff. But I can see it from that perspective. But for us, there's, like I would say, there's edge in chaos, right? So but
I have a counterpoint to that. I'm sorry, but I love the chaos, and this is one of my favorite things to argue that the chaos is a great thing for us as bettors. But when you come out and say the guy's not playing, that kind of removes the whole chaos aspect. That's totally unexpected. There's not any anticipation there that he's going to play, right? So that's why I was kind of jilted by that yesterday.
I would have liked it if he had just come out and said that I don't know, right?
Exactly.
Because the thing is that once after he says no, right? We're all writing that off. If he says I don't know, we've all got it in our probabilities that 30% chance, 40% chance, whatever the case is. And then if he is in, we know we can get to the market, right? So that's where the chaos comes in. But he shouldn't have unequivocally said no.
Yeah, like and then today he says that Marchand isn't going to travel with the well, he might be traveling with the team, but
Right.
he said he's
May
not
not
going to
play.
play the back-to-back. So
Yeah.
like do you believe
Yeah.
that? Like
Yeah,
I don't know, right?
Seriously, yeah.
I've actually marked him as questionable in my model today as well, because
Yeah.
I have no idea who
Exactly.
I mean, I'd like to say that he probably doesn't play just because you don't want to tell like two huge lies in the span of that time period.
Yeah.
But who knows nowadays? It's the NHL. We get all sorts of misinformation and we have to navigate our way through that. So Money, on your end, Canucks finally get a win, man. Finally.
They did get the win on the scoreboard, but like, was it really a win though? Right? Like, I thought they looked horrible, right? Like they were aided by a couple of power play goals. There was an empty net goal in there. 5-on-5, they just look bad. Like I talked about this on yesterday's show that Seattle is a team now that can generate offense. They've got a couple of finishers now on that with that forward group. They just don't get the consistent goaltending, right? Thank you, Martin Jones, by the way. Meanwhile, like the Canucks are sitting here dressing an AHL caliber defense every game, right? So, and now the Penguins are in Vancouver waiting for them. So, it's just gonna get uglier. Like I thought the Carolina game, they looked bad, but it was against a very good defensive team, right? Against Seattle, like there was really no reason for them to look that bad, and it was terrible.
Mind you, the only goals they scored against Carolina came off a terrible challenge by Rod Brendamore that resulted in a power play goal. And then, maybe the worst of the year for sure that I've seen. So definitely the worst that I've seen. I haven't seen all of them. And then the next goal went off Jesperi Kotkaniemi's face and landed in the slot for them. Like it was very, very fortunate that they only lost by a goal in that game. But yeah, like I agree with you totally. So Money, it's funny how hockey works. I thought that was arguably the Canucks' worst performance of the season so far, and they get their first win, right? So that's hockey.
Big one for me, big takeaway from last night is I think I need to start collecting Carter Hart Vezina tickets at this point. Like it's actually getting to the point where it's absurd. Like the Flyers are very likely not going to make the playoffs, right? I think we can agree on that. But if they do somehow make the playoffs, how is Carter Hart not going to win the Vezina when they're just getting railroaded every single night? And you're finding prices of like 50-1 across the board right now. I already took some Allmark Vezina numbers at 75-1 last week. I would just want to kind of accumulate a portfolio of people that have a chance, that I think have a chance, that are just going to provide solid goaltending. And like, this is a very different Carter Hart than last year. Like last year was no confidence, just letting in a ton. And he stole the game last night. And I haven't checked the GSAX this morning in terms of an update, but I'm sure he's top 3 in the league right now. And that would warrant some huge consideration for Vezina if they can do some damage.
Alex is in the chat asking if Torts for Jack Adams is a better bet than Hart for the Vezina. Do you know what the odds are on Jack Adams to win not Jack Adams. Do you know what the odds are on John Tortorella to win the Jack Adams right now?
I don't. So
Jack Adams wins.
I haven't seen. So like this morning, Jack Adams isn't on the board at a lot of sports books, which is unusual. Yeah. Hart, Vezina, Norris, Calder are all up, but no Jack Adams. So
yeah, I think like the Vezina bet. I mean, the Flyers are what 5-1 to make the playoffs right now. So yeah, 50-1. Is that what you said? Is a much better bet. And if they make the playoffs, Hart's definitely going to be in consideration for the award.
So Alex says 25-1-ish. Sorry to interrupt you, so Money. So yeah, I would rather just take the Carter Hart at that point.
Yeah. At some point, you would think that Carter Hart is gonna get played into the ground here, right? There's no way that they can. But I mean, again, like if he does continue this like that 25-1 or like the 50-1 that like Rob saw, like I think that I thought I was getting smart by betting Binnington to win the Vezina, but I think that Hart at that number would be pretty good.
We will move on and start shifting gears in towards tonight's action. But before we get into specific games tonight, just wanted to talk about something that's been coming up in the Twitter world, specifically with the Edgework Twitter account. Lots of people excited about the Golden Knights. It's why I wore the hat today. Obviously, I still have bedhead and everything, like, so I had to put a hat on regardless. But Golden Knights hat for a reason. Are the Knights now back to like legitimate cup contender status?
You want to go first?
So I was generally higher on Vegas coming into the season. I thought they had to deal with tons of bad luck last year. And I actually do like Logan Thompson quite a bit, even though the sample size there is pretty small. My big concern with Vegas was how quickly they'd be able to adopt to Bruce Cassidy's system, right? Like he stresses defensive responsibility, and it usually takes time for teams like how Vegas played last year to kind of change that, right? But I go through their games. We're seeing their chances against much lower than last season. They are able to generate consistently as well now too. The only poor game that I have was that 3-2 loss in Calgary. And even in that game, they were still up 2-0 somehow, right? But yeah, then that was the only bad game I have. So because they bought in so early, I do have a positive outlook for them going forward.
Andy?
Yeah, I mean, I think the early signs suggest that I think there was signs last year, even when they were playing without some of their top players, that this was still a pretty good hockey team, right? And aside from Stone and Eichel and Pacioretty missing half of the season, a lot of other serviceable players on that team missed time last season, and that kind of doesn't get talked about a whole lot. It's like, oh, the top players missed, but yeah, a lot of other Riley Smith, William Karlsson, those types of players missed some time as well. So that all added up, and I thought a lot of people patted themselves on the back for thinking that Vegas was overrated last year, and when they missed the playoffs, like I said, they gave them that old Barry Horowitz pat on the back, right? But that was unwarranted. This is a good hockey team. I didn't think heading into the season that they're the contender that they were before, but it definitely looks like they're trending in that direction, but still probably too early to tell if what we're seeing is the true talent out of this team. The Ducks, on the other hand, they look really bad to start the season, and it's no surprise that the market is really, really high on Vegas here, but I'm having trouble just getting to that point, that at this point in the season where I'm not really like incorporating too much data from 2022-23 into my numbers yet.
Agreed. Obviously very big price with Vegas tonight at home to Anaheim. That's an early start, like an hour earlier than normal, 6:00 Eastern time. Got a couple 6:00 Eastern time games tonight. The one thing I will say about Vegas, been very impressed with their play, but if we do look at their team save percentage this year, 93.09%, second in the league right now. Yeah. There's probably some negative regression coming there. And that's nothing against Logan Thompson. I think he actually looks fine. Someone pointing out that he's plus 800 for the Calder right now. I have found that price consistently across the board this morning. So that's potentially worth a bet. But I do think that that's going to come down to closer to middle of the pack at some point this season. Like, do we expect the Knights to be top 5 in save percentage as a team by the end of the year? I would have a hard time believing so.
Me too.
Yeah, totally.
Okay. Game of the night, Colorado and New Jersey. So really quickly, you're going to pull up BetStamp here. For those that don't know, BetStamp will show you the lines from all the sports books in your region. You can download it on Android or iOS, or you can head to betstamp.app to get the desktop version, which is what we are viewing right now. So pretty consistent numbers in market here, where you see Colorado favored in the minus 135 to minus 140 range. Total 6.5, juiced heavily to the over. Man, New Jersey looks like a powerhouse with horrible goaltending. Like, I just don't know. I don't know if they're going to get the positive regression from goaltending, but they look like they are destroying some teams that are out there. They move the puck well. They have a lot of speed. Curious, so Money, on your thoughts on tonight's game, because this is a step up in class for the Devils relative to what they faced recently.
Absolutely, and in general, I'm high on the Devils. I agree with you that they look like a complete wagon right now. But they're going to waste their whole season here if they don't get in front of their goaltending. I don't know what we have in Blackwood and Vanacek. I think that, and I kind of feel bad for the Devils as well, because they probably don't know either, right? Like how can you upgrade something when you don't know exactly what you have? So, but they also need to be careful, because if it keeps going on like this, they're just going to waste their whole season. They are upgrading they're stepping up in class here. As good as the Devils have looked, I'm looking here, they've played the Flyers, they played the Wings twice, Ducks, Islanders, Sharks, and Capitals, right? And now we're getting a Colorado team who I do expect Francouz should be in net, who I do have a slight downgrade.
Me and Andy talked about this one last week specifically.
Rob was right.
I have the same thing with you, so money, but I have no idea how to value the Colorado goalies.
Yeah.
Well, I think you were right. You said that there was going to be a market move towards the other team. I forget who the Colorado Avalanche were playing last Friday, but you said there was going to be a move
Seattle.
towards Seattle. You said there was going to be a move towards Seattle if Georgiev was announced as the starting goaltender, and that was the case. So yeah, I've had I've tinkering with things ever since. I don't want to be caught on the wrong side of that, but goaltenders, man.
Kudu.
Yeah. Well, one thing I like to look at is like a guy like Georgiev, right? Like he came into the league highly touted, and last year you can, as long as you can explain a justification for why someone like that struggled, I think you can look for them to kind of bounce back, especially playing behind a strong defensive team like the Avalanche, right? So it was supposed to be a battle last year with Shesterkin for the starting job, and he lost it. And then he's like openly talked about how he was never able to regain his form, playing like once every 10 days or whatever, right? So I think that I'm generally higher on him with that than probably a lot of people, because there's a rationale there for why he could possibly bounce back.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I think you're right. Like, it's hard to get a read on a goaltender when he's only playing once every 2 weeks, and more than that, only getting the worst opportunities, i.e., when a team is playing tired on the second half of back-to-back, things like that, right? I mean, it's kind of a rough deal to get to be dealt, but yeah, I don't know. Like, when I hear comments like that, I've got to think like, yeah, there's probably been a lot of goaltenders that made those types of statements and their careers never turned around. So I'm a little bit skeptical for sure. But yeah, Georgiev, he's looked great this year so far. I'm still I think I'm still higher on Pavel Francouz, just because we've seen him a lot over the last couple of years in Colorado, and he's played pretty well. But it's definitely close, and I'm not really all that confident in my assessment of goaltenders anyway.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I honestly don't know. I think there's a wide range of outcomes with which one of those could be better and by how much. Just very challenging, especially this early in the year.
You just brought up a great point, and I want to touch on it really quick. Cole Anderson, a good friend of mine, now works for the Philadelphia Flyers, probably training Carter Hart. Since Cole used to be a goaltender himself, but he put it into perspective one time with goaltenders and just kind of the expected results. Like, it's almost as if you have a infinite sided dice, and every side of that dice has a different save percentage, goals saved above expected, and you roll that dice, you're going to get a range. It's sometimes it's going to be a shutout, sometimes it's going to be 2 goals against, sometimes he's going to have a really and that's kind of and the better the goaltender, the higher the ceiling on that dice. But really with goalies, I mean, you're just rolling the dice every game and hoping to get an above average performance.
I would agree with that. Yeah, I mean, too often people speak in certainties in sports, right? Like, this person is this person is that, this team is this team is that. But there's really just a range of what that team or player can be. Sometimes it's a smaller range. Sometimes it's a lower floor, higher ceiling. But you do have to take all of that stuff into account. I did play a little bit of the Devils. I still like them at the current market price. I know what I'm getting into tonight, and that's one game where like the Devils outshoot the Avalanche 37-21 and lose like 5-2 or something because their goaltending has been horrible. But it's very hard for me to ignore, and I know it's only been 7 games, but at 5 versus 5, expected goals for percentage, the Devils are above 69% right now. The second highest in the league is Carolina, above just around 64%. So they are throttling teams. And you can still adjust for quality of competition, right? Like, I know that they've played poor teams, but even when you adjust the numbers, they are playing those teams much better than other teams are playing those teams as well. So I do think that there's something to the Devils roster being a great team. We have Todd, who does edge work on Tuesdays with Alex Moretto and Matt Russell as well. Are you a Devil? Yes, I am a Devil. Todd is a Devils fan. But I do think that New Jersey is a decent bet tonight. I want to get to your guys' favorite bets on the board tonight. We'll start with you, So Money. I have a feeling, just knowing your style, that we might be headed down a very ugly path tonight.
So just like how you know what you're getting into with the Devils, I fully acknowledge, I understand what I'm doing betting the Coyotes here. I bet them a little bit earlier in the morning. I think that you have the usual Winnipegs on a back-to-back. They're going to start their David Rittich tonight. They're not that good, and they're laying this price on the road. So we have all that. There's a lot of chaos here with this new arena that, or you can call it that they'll be
Mullet Arena
that they'll be playing in tonight. So there's a lot of chaos there because we don't know how this arena is gonna play out. Now, if there's nothing different, there's no extra home ice, like maybe the visitors locker room is not really the size of my basement. If there's
still better than the Saddle Dome, though.
Yeah, there you go. If there is none of that, then I know what I'm getting into, and like I'm whatever, right? Like I've got the price against the team that shouldn't be laying this on the road. However, if there is any of that built in, it's just upside for me betting the Coyotes. So I'm hoping that there's a lot of problems in the visitor dressing room, and but yeah, just a number there. I see them plus 130s. I would still bet them at that number as well.
Yeah, I'm not on the Coyotes, but I definitely would rather bet on them in this spot than the Winnipeg Jets, even at the current price. I mean, if you hold a gun to my head, I'd take the Coyotes in this situation, given all the reasons that you just said. And just to kind of parrot that a little bit, the new arena, it's a 5,000 seat multi-purpose or multi-sport complex at the University of Arizona. And I was talking to some people yesterday that were kind of following this throughout over the last couple months, and actually it was Greg Wyszynski from ESPN. I DM'd him and asked him a little bit about it, and he told me that all the players, coaches, their comments all suggest that the boards are super fast, the ice surface is really fast, and one of the reasons for the ice surface apparently being so fast is that because it's a smaller building, it's a lot easier to control the elements in there. So they can kind of perfect things, I guess, a little bit more. And I guess we'll see once they pack it with 5,000 people and really get it sweating in there. But it's early signs suggest that this might be a little bit of a different playing surface than the players are used to. But my play for today, and I haven't had any luck on Fridays yet. I don't think I've given out a winner yet. So hopefully that ends today. And it's kind of a bit of a gamble because there's some uncertainty here with the lineup. I'm on the Penguins at minus 165, just a partial wager, nothing too crazy here. It's moved a little bit. I think the consensus price is minus 170, but you can find minus 165 if you shop around, I'm sure. Am I correct on that, Rob?
You are. Minus 165, best in market. We have Bet Rivers minus 167, Betway minus. So there's a Pinnacle minus 166. There's a lot of options available there in that price.
So it was a small bet, roughly, I think like 80. Kind of like 82.50 to win 50 kind of thing. I would have risked more on it. I think this is an extremely short price if Jake Gensel plays. I think it's even more of a short price if JT Miller is also out, which we don't know yet. But the Canucks, like so many said, they're that's an AHL defense right now. And it's not that I don't really have a vendetta against Spencer Martin. I think he's a fine young backup, has potential to be a decent NHL goaltender, I think. But yeah, this Canucks team is hurting right now. Quinn Hughes, Brock Besser, out of the lineup. All the other players that aren't as big name brand wise, but do still fill a role on that team. And I'm guessing that it's going to be Casey DeSmith tonight. The Penguins play in Seattle tomorrow. I mean, they could start Tristan Jarry, but safe bet is Casey DeSmith on the first half of the back-to-back here. And I like the Penguins. Like I said, I think if the news shakes out in favor of my bet, meaning Gensel plays, which I don't think he will. They said he was going to play on this trip though, and tomorrow will be his last chance because they're heading home after the game against Seattle. So maybe he does. But yeah, Miller looked to be in a lot of pain. It's hard to say if that was, just a temporary thing, and the swelling goes down, he can get a skate on, blah blah blah. But he did look to be in a lot of pain, and maybe he doesn't play today. So I was willing to take a gamble on that. It's not a big play by any means, but hopefully the Pens can get it done for me tonight.
Yeah, I'm not including Gensel or obviously Quinn Hughes or JT Miller in my number on this game, and I do agree with you. I think there's actually a higher probability that Jarry starts than we might expect. I think Mike Sullivan, correct me if I'm wrong, I lose track of this because I'm Rain Man when it comes to goalies. I'm trying to follow like a million things at a time, but I believe that he does like to start Jarry in the first half of back-to-backs a lot of the time as well. So
yeah.
There is upside in this play as well. Like if you like that bet with the Smith, you're gonna love it with Jarry.
It's more just to like play it safe and line the game as if Jarry isn't going to play. See if you have an edge. That's how I kind of play it sometimes. Like if I'm not certain about who the starting goaltender will be, I'll first price the game as if it's going to be the worst of the two goaltenders, and then see if I have an edge. And if I have an edge there, then I can justify making the bet early, regardless of who starts. Right. So that's kind of where I'm at today.
Yeah. I will say that I think the Penguins win this game even with Jonas Johansson in net. So I don't think
they can play.
Don't. If that happens, I'm gonna be pissed.
Yes, that would be upsetting. That would be upsetting. I'm gonna go back to the game we talked about earlier, but I do like the Devils. Anything?
Rob, I gotta cut you off, man. I gotta agree with Alex in the chat. The light mode ain't doing it. You gotta switch back to dark mode, man. No, I'm just joking.
Oh, they're you know what? I am a light mode guy. I've never been a dark mode guy, but I recently changed my YouTube to dark mode, and I might come around on it. So yes, maybe I'll go to the dark mode on BetStamp as well. But I can't get over how well the Devils have looked to start the year, and I get that it's Colorado. I get that there's concerns with goaltending, but I do think that they will play well and consistently play well. And I'd rather just bet on teams that are going to play well on a nightly basis than put stock into a team like Philadelphia, for example, where you know that they're going to get railed and you're reliant on goaltending to come through. So anything plus 120 or higher, I do like the New Jersey Devils tonight. We will lock these all in on BetStamp on the Edgework account. You'll have to excuse us for the delay today. Our producer, Zach, is in London visiting his girlfriend. So it'll be a little bit behind in terms of
Zach has a girlfriend.
He does a very serious relationship, and he's going to go spend some time with her. He's entitled to that. So that's why he's not here hosting for Friday. But
hopefully his dad still retweets though.
Yes. If Zach's dad is watching, please retweet the show at some point today, like you do every week. Really quickly, just there are going to be people who watch us later in the day. So money in terms of the Coyotes, what would you play them to if the number were to move?
Plus 123.
Okay. 123, the cutoff. Andy for the Penguins.
It's tough to say like my definitive cutoff because of the news situation here, so things could change a lot. Right now, minus 165 or better. It's a play to win a half unit roughly. Nothing exciting, but if the news shakes out in the right direction, if Miller is announced out or Gensel is announced in, I would probably try to act quickly and add a little bit more to that position. Make it a full bet. So we'll see what happens. But at that point, I would say, if you can get in front of the market on news, whether it's Gensel is in or Miller is out or both, likely be hard to get on both of both stories there. But if you can do that, I think the Penguins would still be a good bet up to minus 175. But definitely wait for that to shake out.
Perfect. For me, I play the Devils down to plus 120 with what we know in market right now for anyone out there that's listening. This has been Edgework. If you do enjoy the content, thumbs up, subscribe for So Money Sports, for Andy Macneil. And by the way, check out Andy's stuff at VSiN. It's really good. Great read every morning. That's how I start my day. I drink my espresso and I'm like, damn it, I don't agree with Andy on this. Or yes, I'm in agreement with Andy on this. So it's a great read. I highly suggest everyone check it out. Happy Halloween for everyone who's having Halloween parties this weekend. Stay safe, and this crew will see you again next Friday. Have a good one.
I'll see you in 2 weeks, I think. So
2 weeks. Yeah. All right. Peace, everyone.